Do you know a true story? The least favorite part of my week used to be the 15 minutes of greeting people at the end of the service on Sunday. I used to hate it.
Really?
And it felt uncomfortable to me. I've never really been great at small talk. I'm better now. But in my mind, I was like, I just got up front and I just talked to y'all for 25 minutes and I said everything I need to say to you.
Right.
I've got nothing else.
Now you want more. But anyway,
and it wasn't that they were putting in, I think it was more, I perceived that sort of pressure on myself. But I'm over that. I enjoy it now. Kiss those babies, shake the hands.
I'll never put you in parentheses because your blood is so necessary.
Welcome, friends. Welcome to At the Table, a Timberlake Church podcast. Our goal is to make theology accessible and find joy in the Christian life. I'm here with the Reverend Jesse Caro.
Yep. Hi there.
Hey, everybody. I'm Reverend Brad McMullen, and we're so glad to be with you. Thanks for tuning in.
Yes. What if I started calling you Bishop? Would you?
Don't do that.
Okay.
You know, some of these small independent churches, I've noticed, like they are presided over by Bishop so-and-so.
Right.
That feels like a little bit of like a
little high
I
church.
did this
super
to myself.
High church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not clear about that. Yeah. Yeah, right. You know, I have some mixed feelings about bishops having come out of a tradition where that was really important, and I mean it's biblical. I wouldn't deny that
it's in
at
the
all.
Bible. Yeah.
But I think my critique in some cases the bishops were so distant from the local church. Like any big organization, the person at the top doesn't know what's going on, and then the perception is, well, they don't know, so they don't care what's going on. Yeah.
It's very high church sounding. So
it is very liturgical, very it's an Episcopal model. Now, the exception, I had a bishop named Young Jin Cho, and Bishop Cho was awesome. Before he was my bishop, he was my district superintendent. He knew me when my kids were born. He came to the hospital that day, prayed for my kids. He ministered to me and to my wife.
All right.
And so he really saw himself as pastoring the pastors.
All right. Shout out to Bishop
Cho. Love him. And his wife, Reverend Kyok Cho, they were wonderful. He's the one who appointed me to come to Timberlake.
Oh, is that right? Yep. Is he still around?
I believe he's around. He's retired.
Okay.
I believe he's around. I haven't talked to him in a long time. I still have the voicemail, actually, from him when he called to thank me on my cell phone for accepting the appointment to come to Timberlake.
Oh, that's generous.
Yeah, it was very thoughtful.
Yeah.
I play it once in a while. Love you, Bishop Cho. Thanks. Thanks for your ministry to me and the church.
Awesome.
All right, so our topic for today, we are talking about multiplying our faith. We're talking about multiplication. We're in the midst of a sermon series now at Timberlake, and it's called Multiply. We're talking about making new disciples and spreading the gospel.
Yes.
Pretty excited about this one.
This is a good one. This is right up my alley. Definitely one of my passions, I think, just missional, even discipleship, of course, that's passion.
And I hope, I know it sounds a bit technical maybe or theological, but my hope is everybody listening who's a believer agrees, like it's their job, our job, everybody's job to multiply the faith. It's not reserved for church workers or clergy or something like that.
Yeah, it's a highways and a byways effort to get out and to talk to the world and your neighbors.
It is.
It's neighbor work.
It is neighbor work. Absolutely. So today on the podcast, you can expect some of the usual segments. We have for you the Chick-fil-A Joke of the Day. Mm-hmm. Pretty excited about that.
It's my turn, too.
It is Pastor Jesse's turn.
Yep.
I cannot wait. I love his jokes. We've got for you the Pastors Recommend. Every episode, we want to make some kind of recommendation of a resource that y'all can tap into for the purpose of your spiritual journey. So we've got that for you today. And then, of course, we have the top 5.
Top 5 draft style. What's today?
Okay, I'm really excited about this, actually. Okay. Some of our top 5 topics we have planned out in advance. This just bubbled up yesterday.
Correct, like last night.
Last night by text, we were on the thread, and Cord, our producer, was asking about it, talking about it, and it felt inspired. And here's what we came up with: the top 5 jobs that you would want to have if you were not a pastor.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've got a great list, and all of them are sincere.
Right on.
Even though, and I said this in our text thread, and you said you affirmed that this is honestly true. Mm-hmm. In my career, I've never thought I should do something else. Mm-hmm. That has never occurred to me.
Me too.
I love Me too. That's the caveat.
I feel same here, and I feel like one of the blessings the Lord has given me is I've never since seminary had quote a job, just a job where I say, well, this is my job, and I might change jobs. I've never thought about it that way.
Yeah, me neither.
It's a calling and it's a vocation, and I wouldn't rather do anything.
I mention it though because you've seen this, or maybe you haven't, but I have definitely seen it. In fact, the last church I served in, the pastor before me left that church. It was his first ministry, and then he became. I'm not throwing stones, but he moved to Texas and did just realty. Became a realtor.
Mm-hmm.
So that I couldn't imagine ever doing that. Just I would never. So obviously, I feel like maybe that just wasn't for him. Like he missed his call.
Maybe God called him out
for
of the one
season
thing into something else.
Yeah, maybe.
I've certainly seen it the other way, where God takes ordinary people from their regular day-to-day jobs and says, "Hey, now come do this particular kind of ministry work." Not that other work isn't ministry; it absolutely is. But I know, like when I went to seminary, my classmates were. History majors and political lobbyists and engineers. And I had been a social worker, drug abuse counselor. And the Lord is drawing people from all over in all these different occupations in to serve the church.
Yeah. So I'm not throwing stones at that last minister, by the way. I'm just saying it never had occurred to me ever that, even on my hardest ministry days, and you and I probably had very hard ones, I've never thought, man, I'm going to throw in the towel on this and go do something else.
I give God a lot of credit for that, and the Lord has been generous to you and to me too. There was a few years ago, around the time of the pandemic and disaffiliation, when I thought I was getting burned out, like maybe I wasn't going to be able to do this anymore. But it was never a desire to do something else. It was more like I'm depleted. I've given my best, and to their credit, this church, they were very supportive of me. They granted me some time off, and they prayed for me and encouraged me.
Way to go, Timberlake.
Yeah, Timberlake's awesome. I love this church.
Yeah. Amen.
All right, so hey, tell your friends about the podcast, folks. We love what we do here. We hope you enjoy it, and we want you to share it with others. So, of course, people can get it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, but also on YouTube. Tell them how to get it on YouTube.
Well, what you do, and this is really rather simple, and people should do it, because I think actually, even if you watch it, listen to it. Should at least try to watch a little bit of it just for fun.
The views are really spectacular.
It's phenomenal. And so what you do is you go to YouTube, youtube.com.
YouTube.com.
You pull up your YouTube app, and then you search Timberlake Church at the Table Podcast. Simple. And it will pop up. You will see it
right there.
All the videos, and this is as easy as it gets. You don't have to get on an app or YouTube. Just get on YouTube.
I mean, honestly, you could just go to our YouTube channel, Timberlake Church,
or do that. Or that's the shortcut. That's the shortcut.
And then you'll get notifications when the new one comes out.
Right.
Yeah. Subscribe, people. Click that subscribe button.
But if you're just technologically, I just gave you the technologically illiterate.
Oh, my bad.
Version. This is the absolute. You don't know anything about technology.
Great people.
YouTube.
That's me.
Yeah.
I'm in that camp.
Yeah.
Right. YouTube, and then search Timberlake Church at Table Podcast.
What if they're listening to it because they don't want to watch you guys?
I don't blame you.
Okay, all right.
Then you have to go. Then you have to do podcast. You have to do your Spotify.
This is a face made for radio, as they say.
Yeah. That was.
We do have some mail. We have one email that I'd like to read.
Viewer mail. Let's hear it.
Did you send it?
I did not send it. Oh gosh, this is from Chelsea Miller. She said she's been meaning to send an email. My husband Brian and I have been enjoying all the episodes so far. Love the top 5 at the end, which means it's great. So they're getting to the end.
Yes.
Hopefully they're not skipping to it.
No skipping.
But then she says, "Sorry, Pastor Jesse, but Pastor Brad wins the top 5 country songs hands down." I'll give him a pass for Brad Paisley,
Did you get to Chelsea? Did you get to Chelsea?
No, there
Okay.
was no gifts exchanged, no bribery involved. Chelsea is a free person. She can say what she wants.
Okay, all right, just checking.
Yeah, but then she did say Cord's top 2 was great too. So I mean, I feel like
All right,
somewhat included.
Chelsea.
Whatever.
Said they look forward to each new episode. Thank y'all for doing a great job.
All right.
Thanks, Chelsea. That is so
Okay.
nice.
We'll do it again. Chelsea, today, tell me, if you would, weigh in on whose top 5 secondary, the secondary job careers would be more enticing to you.
Okay.
I can't wait.
I'm excited too. Yeah. But send us an email, friends. We'd love to hear from you. podcast@timberlakechurch.org.
All right.
And thanks again, Chelsea, for writing in.
Yes, indeed.
Really grateful to hear from
Though
you.
I disagree.
And how much better I am than Pastor
I
Jesse.
disagree wholeheartedly, vehemently, but
Yeah, that's a free
Again,
country.
free country.
You're free to be wrong. That's
exactly, it's free country.
Oh, man. Okay, so we're going to talk about multiplying our faith. But first, I think we ought to have the Chick-fil-A joke of the day.
All right, I cleared this with my kids as I'm want to do,
Yes. Young people are often a very good test audience.
and they
dad jokes.
liked it. So,
That's cool.
so here's the joke. It was a little bit of a story, but the other day I was looking in the mirror and I says to my wife, I said, honey, I look in the mirror and all I see is a fat, wrinkly, and ugly old man. I said to her, I really need you to pay me a compliment. And she says, all right then. Your eyesight is dang near perfect.
That's classic.
That's a classic.
I love
just
that joke.
Twist of a turn.
That is so good.
Yeah, so you've heard that joke.
Yes, I have. I've
Okay.
told that joke, and I love that joke.
That's a great joke. My kids love that joke.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
That- but-
congratulations on your perfect eyesight.
Yeah, and my wife that built. That's not a true story. That's just a
it's
joke.
not.
Yeah.
Kelly would never
That's
tear
actually
you
not a
down
true story.
like that.
Yeah, Kelly knows that I'm handsome, and she also would never demean me that way.
Doesn't she
She's a
wear
good
glasses, though?
wife. Do what?
Doesn't she wear glasses though?
Does she?
No.
I mean, she married you for your looks, clearly. And your smarts. I mean, not for your money.
Well, that's a fact. She
Right.
did not marry me for my money. That's an absolute fact. She's the best wife.
For
By
your
the way,
singing
it's our
voice?
wives that are in large part responsible for why we have endured ministry.
True
And
that.
Kelly is my helpmeet in every way.
Shout out to the wives.
Yeah, she is. She has made it so easy for me to make very difficult decisions, or moves, and things of that nature.
Yeah.
She's never put pressure on me in any way, so I'm so grateful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm grateful, too, for Kelly and from my wife, Donna.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
All right, that's
All
the
right.
joke.
Well done. Love the joke.
Yeah, it's
Love
a great
it.
one.
All right, let's talk about our topic, multiplying our faith. We are in the midst of this sermon series, and we're talking about multiplication on a few different levels. There's probably a number of ways to frame this. I think one of the most helpful for me for this particular series has been to think about multiplying faith on a global level, the idea that we're spreading the gospel all around the world, and Jesus says go into all the nations. On a corporate level, in the sense that what this particular body of Christ, Timberlake, is doing to multiply, make new disciples. But then also, maybe in the most narrow sense, but maybe most important, is in the personal level, that every follower of Jesus is called to make disciples, to spread their faith, to train others up in the way of following Jesus.
Yeah.
So we're going to start with the global today, and that's where the sermon series is beginning. So let's talk about that. And Pastor Jesse, you have a lot more experience in this than I do in terms of overseas missions. You've got friends in places of overseas missions. I've taken a few mission trips here and there, but it's certainly been in your orbit for a long time. So talk to us about that, and how'd you get into that?
Well, I think in part when I was 18, I was actually I was 17, and I was in a new school with a new church, new Christian school, and the youth minister invited me to go to mission trip, basketball mission trip to Guatemala.
A basketball mission trip?
Yep. So we would we'd play basketball, or the high school team would play basketball against some of their high school teams, and then share the gospel during halftime. So I think we played like 20 games. I set up, different schools, and
So was this when you were in high school?
so I just graduated. I graduated May 23rd. The next day we flew out.
Were you on the team?
Yes, but was I on the team? What do you mean?
Well, but you would have been ineligible because you were graduated.
Well, I mean, all of us were seniors, essentially, mostly.
This seems like an international scandal right now. They should go back and see that you weren't any longer a student.
I'm not sure if anybody really cared. We were all still young. I was 18. We were 18.
I'm just teasing.
Yeah. So it was a great trip. But on that trip, it was the first mission trip I'd ever been on. I saw a missionary. Well, I had the privilege of meeting a missionary. Went to the dump in Guatemala City, and there was a lady there that built a home in the middle of the dump to minister to the families and the kids that lived in the landfill.
Oh my word!
And I remember, 18 years old. I remember. To some extent, I almost think this was a conversion experience because I gave my life to God on that day. And I saw that lady, and I said, whose name I do not know. But I remember saying, Lord, if this lady can do this, then I'll serve you in any way that I'd be willing to serve you in any way. So that was really, and that happened on a mission trip. So I just kind of came out of
that's amazing.
Yeah, I came out, I was like out of my box. I was listening to God, and God got kind of a hold of me. And then
that reminds me of a story called The Rag Man. Are y'all familiar with this story?
No.
It's by it's a short story. It's by an author named Walter Wangerin Jr. Or it's like a poem, and it's sort of allegory of Jesus the Christ, and it's told from the perspective of the observer, and he sees this handsome, strong, big man come into the city, and he goes to like the down and out, the Skid Row drug addicts and the impoverished.
Sure.
And he cries out, "Rags! I've got rags for sale, new rags for old." And he comes to a grieving widow, and she's got the hanky and she's crying, and he gives her his fresh, clean rag, and then the woman gives him her soiled one, and then. In the same moment, her tears go away, and now she has joy. But now the rag man is crying. And then the same thing happens with the man with the missing leg. He gives the crutches to the rag man. Now the rag man's missing a leg. In other words, it's an allegory of how Christ takes on our brokenness and infirmities on himself.
Yeah.
It's really, really great poem. But it reminds me of that woman. Reminds me of that idea that of all places, Christ would come into the dump of our world, just as that woman did. I mean, what an amazing witness for her.
Well, yeah, and she'd left Oklahoma. I remember, it's like she's just from the States.
From the States.
Yeah. But what a drastic calling of God to do that. But it opened my eyes, and then I thought, and so did just missions in general when I was 18. So I went on subsequent to that when I came into ministry. I've probably been on, I'm going to stab it, 15, 16 mission trips overseas, and mostly in service of inviting teens to go because I thought it was important in my life. So, and I met a missionary that we support, that Timberlake supports. I met a missionary early on, the early 2000s, that on one of those mission trips that's become a dear friend of mine.
His name is Ryan?
Ryan Hansen. And just godly met him in the Dominican Republic, but now he's serving in Honduras. So I find that, I'm really passionate about cross-cultural ministry. But again, that's just part of my story, so it's natural that it would be part of my passion. So
I've got a soft place in my heart for Honduras because I connected in my previous church setting with a ministry called the Friends of Barnabas. And they minister to the children and their families of Honduras to bring medical care.
right.
And so this was, I think he might have been a retired pastor. I think his name is Linwood Cook, who founded the ministry. So they've got a Richmond office, but the headquarters is in Honduras. And what they do is they take they call mountain medical teams, 10 or 12 a year, and they go for 8 or 10 days. And they we got the home base there where the mission house is, and stay there and are fed there breakfast and dinner. But during the day, we get on the bus and take these incredibly dilapidated, very rural roads to these far remote villages where some people who have never even seen a doctor in their life. And we bring to them medical care. We set up clinics. So there's a sort of a general medical clinic, an eye clinic, a dental clinic. And I was the chaplain. I was fortunate enough to be a part of the team. And it was very instructive. It was life-changing for me to go and to see the needs of people and to be able to go and minister to them in the name of Jesus and to have the experience of trying to touch their lives. One of the things I appreciated about it was not just a one-off. They also were very invested in community health. So the organization hired nurses and healthcare educators who lived in those communities to continue the work. So in other words, it wasn't just a once-a-year visit. In fact, most of the villages we worked with, I think, received a team twice a year. And then they also had the clinicians and the educators coming and ministering to them in the in-between times. They also did, they had a heart surgery team, and they sent surgeons and anesthesiologists, and they also have a cleft lip, cleft palate team, and they go into repair. What for us in the States is very routine surgery, for them is not always
Is that
available.
ministry still operative?
Yes.
Do you know? Yep.
Yeah, and I think it's FOBF.org is the website, Friends of Barnabas Foundation. I can confirm that.
Now, was their headquarters, we've talked about, was that out of San Pedro Sula? Or did you just fly into
So we flew into San Pedro Sula. That was not where
the headquarters
the mission headquarters is. I'm trying to remember the name of the town. I'll have to look that up. My Spanish is not as good as yours.
Well, I was just say, my friend Ryan serves in San Pedro Sula. Yeah. So I'm going to ask him if he knows about that ministry.
Yeah, I would love to know if he's aware of it. I'll tell you this. He may not be. I'm sure there's countless missionaries and mission efforts. One of the things that hit home to me at the airport in San Pedro Sula, I think I told you this, in the gift shop. They, like any other airport gift shop, they sell candy and water and stuff, but they also sold T-shirts. And one of the T-shirts, it was amusing on the one hand, but on the other hand, it was incredibly sad to me. They sold a T-shirt that said, "I came to Honduras on a mission trip." And it's like this reality. That's their culture. That's the need, the deep, deep poverty of that country. Last I heard, Honduras shares the distinction of most impoverished nation in the Western Hemisphere, along with Haiti.
Yeah, it's very poor.
Yeah.
Yeah. I find that interesting, and I think that churches, I'm grateful, good for churches that they go and do that kind of benevolent work and gospel ministry work.
Yeah.
But it's sad that they recognize that there's very little, they have very few resources.
Yeah,
but also, again, it's gospel poor too. It's a gospel poor country. So.
Yeah, my job was to preach the gospel at the clinic days, and I would say it in English, and then our translator would translate into Spanish for the people. And I told them the good news of Jesus, and I pray they heard it and believed.
Yeah.
But shout out to the church I served at the time, Bethany United Methodist in Weir's Cave, Virginia. They took up my offer to join with Friends of Barnabas, and they still continue to this day. They still send team members from Bethany Church, along with some folks from around Harrisonburg.
Well, that's one of the great
Honduras.
things, isn't it? And that's why I like short-term mission trips, as I'm like to propose to do, because it gets a student in particular, but not just students, adults, out of their box and then they see a need that they just don't notice maybe in their comfort zone. So I found it incredibly helpful to take mission trips, and you're prayerful when you do it. So it's really sincerely, it's not vacation most of the time. It's not
It's work.
Comfortable.
Right,
But-
and on purpose, right? So
Right.
As you're saying, we've got to have some kind of disruption to our comfortable lives, and I'll tell you that is fundamentally, I think, one of the most powerful things of these short-term mission trips. And my own experience to go from growing up in the suburbs of Northern Virginia and having my pastors and leaders take me to this teeny little coal mining town near Morgantown, West Virginia, called Osage.
Yep.
And I saw poverty like I had never seen before. And it was eye-opening, and it was earth-shattering. And I remember shedding tears over the lack of resources that these people had, and compared to my own really blessed, comfortable life. And I remember feeling guilty and thinking, oh my gosh, how come I have so much and they have so little? And that motivated me to try to live a life of service and to lead others and to have that same life-changing
maybe
experience.
one day we can talk about the discipline of simplicity as a metric for spiritual health. Because we do have so much. Oh my goodness! And I don't think we should feel like, on the one hand, we should not feel guilty about what we have, in the sense that God means to bless us, and so like we should enjoy the blessings of God. But on the other hand, and so this is the hard thing, isn't it? Because there's a yin yang here.
Yeah.
There's a world that's we are so consumers.
We are, and it clouds our understanding of who God is and what we need the Lord for. And John Wesley used to say, John Wesley said, I went to the poor to evangelize them, and he said, I found they already had the gospel. And, we've got to take care, I think, not to glamorize poverty, like, oh, it's this wonderful spiritual utopia. No, of course not. But people who don't have material things have to rely by necessity on the Lord in a way that people who have material things do not.
Right.
And this is why I think why the Bible counsels us on the danger of riches over and over again, because we lull ourselves into a false sense of security, thinking, oh, what do I need God for? I've got money in the bank.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. Even in the class I was teaching on anxiety, where Jesus says you cannot serve God and mammon and money. But really the teaching there is that if you make a life that depends on money, then that life effectively cuts you off of the grace of God to deal with. Because if you're depending on money, and then you get to the place where your whole life has been money's the solution to your problems, then you need something that money can't fix. Yeah. Then you're turning to what? Well, you've lived a life now that's cut off from dependence on God.
Amen. I think that's why Jesus said it's so hard for a rich man to get into heaven.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. Well, yeah. So I'm passionate about missions, about trying to reach the world. On the one side, we don't get the benefit of seeing all where our money goes. So, like when we have a robuster, is that a word?
It is, no?
We have a robuster like mission to Lynchburg than most churches, than the lion's share of churches. And you can sort of essentially immediately see the fruit of your labor. But you don't get that benefit when you send your money to a missionary. So that's the difficulty, I think. People just think they don't really see the benefit because they don't see it play out. And they don't see the need. So I think that's why it's harder, I think, to get excited about missions. Does that make sense?
It does, and I think that's true of a lot of things. I think it's probably hard to see the impact we make on our children when they're 2 and 3 years old and understand how what we do now and invest in them now is going to make a difference for their adult life. But I do think in this way, foreign missions, among other things, requires a certain level of spiritual maturity and to say, I'm going to take the long view. I'm going to trust the Lord is working, even if I can't be there hands-on.
Precisely.
Yeah.
That's the discipline of it. Yeah, I agree entirely. Again, even one of our missionaries that we support, we can't say her name where she serves. Certainly not in a thing like this where it's now digitized on the internet, because she serves in a place that's dangerous, that could cost her certainly her ministry and likely her life.
Because our faith is not accepted in that community.
Right. So, well, there's a tacit sort of thing. Well, we're asking you to support her, even if you don't know a lot about her, but you must trust God that she's doing the Lord's work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think that's one of the good functions of the local church is we all give our gift and we entrust it not only to the Lord but to the leaders.
right.
And so when I know so and so is the head of the finance team, and not only are they a great person, but they love the Lord. They are themselves generous. They're going to be a good steward of the gifts that we give, and I think that's certainly very biblical. You see in Acts, the disciples are coming and turning over resources to the leaders for the sake of the well-being of the whole community.
Right.
And so that is, I think, a matter of faith of saying, okay, I don't have to dictate where every one of these dollars go. I can trust the leaders and I can trust the Spirit of God to move and to bless. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
So, yeah, I think the more, I'm going to make a statement you may or may not agree.
Here we go.
In the Baptist tradition I grew up in, was essentially mostly Baptist, even though you must know, and I know that you know this, that mostly I don't really even consider myself a Baptist. It is my heritage, but it's not. I'm a weird duck with eclectic beliefs.
That's strength on that.
Right. But that tradition emphasizes, I think, mostly overseas missions. What
I've
and
observed
mostly to the neglect of local.
Yeah.
And that's just facts. Or at least that's my observation.
Yeah.
So
I've observed that too. I think in some churches when the word mission or missionary is spoken, the assumption is, hey, we sponsor these two people. They're overseas. Our job is to give money. Their job is to share the gospel. And that's not bad. I mean, that's good.
Right.
There are some people, men and women, God calls to go to faraway places where most of us will never go. And so to support missionaries is good and right, is biblical. But I hear your point, which is it doesn't have to be mutually exclusive with local missions, and neither does local have to be mutually exclusive to foreign. I hear from church people all the time and say, what are we doing missions way out there? We got people in need right here.
Valid.
Like, yeah, of course we do. And then, sister or brother, what are you doing about it? Besides complaining about the mission work of someone else. And obviously, it's not an either or, it's a both and.
Right. I think that's the thing people need to know. And everybody's got their own passions.
Yeah.
And that's God-given to some extent.
I agree. Yeah. I agree. Not everybody is passionate about the same thing, nor should they be.
Right.
I'm thinking of, related to that, I'm thinking of Acts 1, verse 8. Jesus is anticipating the coming of the Spirit on Pentecost.
Yeah, great.
And he says to the disciples, he's gathered with them, like right before his ascension. You know this, probably. He says, you'll receive power when the Holy Spirit has come upon you, and you'll be my witnesses. And then he lists off these places. You'll be my witnesses in Jerusalem, in Judea, and Samaria, and to the ends of the earth. And unless you look at a map, that just sounds like a listing of geographical locations. But what you see if you look on a map is you imagine Jerusalem as like the center of the world of faith. And, of course, Jerusalem stands for the location of God or the people of God. But then the gospel starts there, but it doesn't stay there, right? It's not consumed in Jerusalem. It goes out to Judea, which is a little farther out, and then in Samaria, which is a little farther out, and also, by the way, a neglected and rejected place. Some Samaritans are non-persons or thought to be, and that's why the Good Samaritan is such a scandalous story. But then Jesus says to the ends of the earth, all the way out. So I take that and I say, well, Jesus has clearly instructed us. Mission begins at home, but it doesn't end at home. It goes out into the whole world.
Yeah, but, I think if there's folly, it's like, well, you can't reach Jerusalem at the neglect of uttermost parts of the world, but you also can't reach the uttermost parts of the world at the neglect of Lynchburg.
That's right.
I mean, but both of those seem like folly.
I agree.
It's a, like you said, both and that is the Great Commission, go into all the world, to the entire world.
Yeah.
Your local world and and preach the gospel, making disciples.
Amen.
So yeah, I'm passionate with you about this, and I think we have a good mix. I think we do. This is a healthy church in that regard.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. This is one of the few churches I've served where pretty much everybody is already convinced that our job is to serve our neighbors in Jesus' name. I don't really have to spend any time convincing people they should do that. Mm-hmm. They believe it. They are committed to it. What they want to know from us is where and how. And that's where we get that word release in our mission. Mm-hmm. It's like they're like horses at the starting gate. Like, pastor, just open the gate. Tell us where to run. And they're ready to go.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome. It's a pleasure to serve a community like that who's really committed to the Lord in that way. Yeah. Well, let's talk about a second layer of multiplication, and this is what I'm thinking of as the corporate dimension in which we are multiplying churches. The biblical model, as I read it, for church growth is not expansion, in which we just get bigger and bigger and bigger in one place, but multiplication, in which some persons from the established church go out and plant the next church and the next and the next and the next. And I think we see that with the disciples in Acts. I think we see that with Paul establishing faith communities all around the region. Would you agree? That's the biblical model. I totally
agree. Yeah. I totally agree. And I don't think that's a popular opinion, honestly. I think, and maybe many churches haven't thought about it, but I think we'll keep growing and get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think the tendency, if there is one, is for a lot of churches to just get bigger where they are rather than to?
Well, and that's the goal, right? Let's just keep getting bigger and bigger, and let's just make another, 20,000 seat auditorium, or whatever. Granted, there aren't a lot of those in the United States, but they exist. There are plenty of them.
Yeah.
So, used to be mega church 30 years ago was 1,000, 2,000, and now that's nothing. That's an average church. But also, the churches have, and this is part of the challenge. There's 3,000 churches a year close in America.
Wow.
So you can't do that for long. But what's happening is they're closing because they're consolidating into these bigger pockets. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a lot of church transfer.
Number of people in larger churches are people coming from smaller churches,
right, that are
not flourishing.
Right. Yeah. And I think that then that becomes, so here's the answer to your question. I think people want, and this is natural, I'm not throwing stones, but they want an attractional model so that the bigger the church gets, you offer more.
Yeah.
And so
like,
it's Walmart.
I want a place with like really good coffee and excellent children's programming. And I need something for my mother-in-law as well.
Precisely. Yeah. It's the Walmartization of church, right? Yeah. We're just going to offer everything to everybody. And then you lose track of what the ministry's for. Mm-hmm. I think that the church ought to stop doing that. And one of the ways you stop doing that is to not fall into the model to start off with and keep getting bigger, split, and go reach another part of your city.
Yeah, right. It's interesting at Timberlake, we're getting to that point, and not even by spiritual mandate only, but also by practical necessity. Mm-hmm. Like we're running out of space regularly here, stuff full on Sundays and Wednesdays, and what a great problem to have. But I've been saying to our people, like, we can build, and we are going to build, hospitality space and entrance and such. But no matter how big we build this building, sooner or later it's going to be full again. We're going to run out of space. And so then for me, the solution is not just bigger buildings. It is multiplying into new places.
Right, exactly. I think that's by far and away the right model. Mm-hmm. I don't want to put too much, because there's nothing about Acts that is normative really now. But one thing's for sure about Acts is they didn't have churches of 1,000. I mean, 3,000 were added to the church, but there's a home model. So the church was all
house
over.
Churches.
Right. So there was the church of Ephesus. There was the church of, right. So like in other words, there are the Christians that live in Ephesus, and then the Christians that live in Galatia and Philippi.
Right.
So I think and it grew in part because it's all over the city. There's that, they didn't gather in synagogues. That's a modern invention, even to do something wrong with it. I'm glad that we have a place we gather.
Yeah.
It is called a gathering. So we gather somewhere, but I think that can be taken to the sort of an area that's just not helpful. It becomes,
I agree. During the pandemic, I had this wild idea that we should start meeting in houses, like house churches, like what you're describing in Acts. And thought, and in my mind, okay, this pandemic is going to last. Who knows how long? We can't really gather corporately, and even the ones who can, like it's not everyone. Some people still aren't. So I thought, well, we could gather more safely in smaller numbers in our houses. So I went to the leaders, and they were like, I don't know, Pastor Brad. We like you, but we don't really like that idea. I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna try it out on the whole church. So I preached two Sundays in a row on the biblical notion of house churches, and dude, it was crickets.
Is that right? Nobody bit?
No, I think maybe one person. Comes to mind. Two people.
Okay.
Cord says two. Producer Cord, he remembers these things. Okay, so two people came to me and said, I would do that, Pastor Brad.
In other words, I'd open up my home.
Yeah.
Okay.
And host church, like a worship service at the church. Yeah, obviously it would be different, but same worship, same God, same scripture, different feel, different style, different nature of the gathering. But it just... So I accept that it might not have been the right idea for the right time for this ministry. But part of, I think, people's reluctance to consider it was, what do you mean we can't come to the building and have corporate worship like we always have?
Yeah.
Because we've been raised on, all of us.
Yeah. I think the principal problem is that we look at health. This is an Americanization of we look at health of a church as principally like numbers.
Right.
And then, again,
it's the McDonald's phenomenon.
Yeah,
right?
and again, there
billions
is
and billions served.
We should be growing. The church Acts 2. The church grew 3,000. Yeah, but it isn't the only thing, and I would say. People would say, "Oh no, that's really good." But again, then you fall into so many traps. I think that the safest thing to do is when you get so big, you plant somewhere else. You replicate.
And one thing I love about Timberlake is we are healthier now than we've been in a long, long time. We have a healthy culture. We have a healthy DNA. And the reality is, like you said, not to throw stones, some churches don't have it. Some churches are not thriving. So I say, okay, the Lord has blessed us. The Lord has smiled on us. We have wonderful, abundant resources. We have great, healthy culture and DNA. We have big faith, people who are passionate about it. Now is the time for us to take that and to plant that and come alongside another church or to start something new. And we have an opportunity that we're going to be talking about in the coming weeks in this church that the Lord has laid before us as an opportunity to revitalize / plant a second campus of Timberlake. And I think this is exactly the biblical model to multiply and to reach new people by getting out of this building and off this campus and to a new location where God wants to move.
I really think it's the right way to do it. Even if this particular location continues to grow, take of course. Take the DNA and our mission, plant it elsewhere, let it grow, and keep multiplying. But I do think there's a danger in we don't want a Walmart culture.
Right.
And the bigger the church, again, you're just like, well, what can we offer to what program can we do?
Right.
And it just becomes, I think it needs to be warned against. I'm not saying
absolutely. No, I totally agree. In fact, as of the day of this recording, we are having First Wednesday Theology tonight. And I am teaching on this very idea of how do we maintain and cultivate intimacy, healthy relationships with each other, even while the church grows.
Right.
because we've all seen how bad it can go when it gets too big or too corporate and unfeeling and cold, and the church becomes just like any other organization or any other business. And so there are things we can do to make sure that doesn't happen.
Right.
To maintain the integrity of the ministry.
Yeah.
And so as we grow, we need to be clear about that.
Yeah. I hope everybody feels this way sincerely. It's far healthy. I just to say this blanket statement, you might push back on me. It's better if we had 5 campuses of 1,000 than one campus of 5,000.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
I agree. I mean,
that's better.
It's partly because it doesn't scale. It's not so 1,000 people is more than twice as complicated as 500 people, because you think about things like parking, things like bathrooms, things like the safety of the people as they come.
Yeah.
All of these logistics are not things that everybody needs to be concerned about. That's what your staff are for, but we risk putting our resources into the things that could be, in some cases, simplified and better managed in multiple locations. Now, not to say that multiple locations isn't complex. It absolutely is. But the people in this community need the gospel in Rustburg, and they need it in Forest, and they need it downtown Lynchburg, but and not just here at Timberlake.
But you can contextualize the gospel
right
in the different locations. And is that not the point? That neighborhood there, even though it's 15 minutes away or whatever, is different.
Well, that's the story of the incarnation, right? Is that God moved into the neighborhood. God did not sit back on his throne in heaven and say, okay, y'all try to figure me out.
Yeah.
God the Father sent Jesus the Son to contextualize the gospel for us, to humanize and incarnate.
And the goal isn't just to feed the poor or you do good works. This is an eschatological goal. I mean, even the verse from Acts 1, it starts with "but," because he's talking about the kingdom of heaven coming. It's like, no, right now you are filled with the Spirit of God so that we can save more people. So that when Jesus comes back, the kingdom of heaven is broader and bigger than it ever was.
Yeah, I think
well said.
Spread this thing out.
Yeah.
Spread this thing out. Yeah, I totally agree. That's a good word. I have to, but you're right.
Let's talk about a third dimension of multiplication, the interpersonal, the personal dimension of multiplying disciples. We're going to do a sermon as part of this series. I'm going to do a sermon talking about the idea that and I've heard other people say this, but I really like it. Every follower of Jesus needs for him or herself a Paul, a Priscilla, and a Timothy. You've heard this idea before?
Yes. Yeah. Were you from you? But I've never heard it put that way. Honestly,
I don't remember where I heard it first, and then going and Googling it. Several people have used this as just a simple framework for the idea. And the idea is very simple. The idea that every follower of Jesus needs a mentor, someone to lead them, like a Paul. And Paul does that for a number of people in the scriptures, including Timothy and Titus and others. Everybody needs a Timothy, someone who is following you, someone who you are mentoring and teaching. So we all need to be taught, and we all need to teach. We all need to be led, and we all need to lead. And then the Priscilla. And a lot of people use Barnabas, which is also a good example. I like to throw Priscilla in, not least because she's a woman, and I want to include the women and say this is not just for the men, it's for all of us. But also because Priscilla in Acts has a really unique relationship to Paul, I think, and a very much a co-laborer with Paul in the ministry. And so not only do we need someone to lead and teach us, to someone who will follow us, but someone who will walk beside us, a partner, a friend in the ministry.
I love it.
So let's talk for a minute about who are the people in your life who have been for you a Paul, a Priscilla, and a Timothy.
Oh, you go first. I got
That's fair enough. I've had more time to think about it. So for me, when I was growing up, a youth, there was a guy in our church. He was not a pastor, but he was a pastoral counselor. I mean, he had been, and maybe since has been local church pastor. His name is Gary Nelson, and he mentored me. He's one of the ones who took me to West Virginia on these mission trips. When I struggled with life, I would call him. He would pray for me. When I was discerning my call to ministry, he took me out to breakfast, and he said, Brad, tell me about your call. What are you hearing the Lord say? And he just imparted a lot of wisdom in my life. He was someone I respected. He went through his own difficulties and things in his family and in his personal life that he was very candid with me about, and it was very instructive to me. He was a little bit older, which probably helped, someone in that sort of mentoring role. But I've had a ton of mentors. I'm so grateful, honestly. I've got a list, could rattle off the names of a bunch of people. But he is one who was a Paul for me to show me the way of Jesus.
Yeah, I remember when the first ministry I took after college was in West Virginia, and the pastor, Timothy Dillon, was his name, small little rural church in Ronsford, West Virginia. Okay. And I remember the first week I was there, he wrote me a letter and said, "Hey, I want us to have a good Paul-Timothy relationship." And he was very good to me, very helped me to know how to make visits. Just because you're new, I'm green. I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah. And he helped me. And one thing I'm very grateful for, the very first thing I did was start preaching and leading music at convalescent homes.
Oh, neat.
So they had a pretty robust convalescent home ministry. Yeah, and he did it. And he said, "That's your responsibility now for a few years." And I did that, but I came to really love that ministry, that get comfortable around older people as a 20-something year old. But I would say Timothy Dillon probably was the first, I really, really look up. Even today, he's still in ministry, but today I still look up to him a lot. And though we haven't spoken in a while, but he was a great guy. But yeah, I would say he was my first Paul. But I've had like you. I've had a lot of people in my life that have spoken into me.
Yeah,
I'm very grateful. I've had a rich. It's almost hard to narrow the field, but
yeah. I do feel like we are blessed, or at least I could speak for myself. The local church ministry is very conducive to these kind of relationships. And I'm thinking about other people I've mentored and who I have tried to teach as a Timothy to me. And a couple come to mind from the church in Arlington where I served, a young lady named Amy and another one named Katie. And I taught them in Bible study in my home and counseled with them and encouraged them in their faith. And both of them have gone into ministry and work, and one of them's in higher education, and the other one's in campus ministry. And I like to think, I had a hand in encouraging them to pursue God's call on their lives and introducing them to the idea of seminary and of a life of service to others. And that was very gratifying to invest in them.
Well, I remember, Justin and Meg. I'm just thinking back in my ministry of younger couples that I wound up marrying and, leading them.
To each other, you mean?
Yes, correct. Okay, yeah. But, I think ministry, ministry is such a great call if you desire it. It's such a great thing to do. But when you see that, when you see because people have always poured into me, but when you have the opportunity to pour into others and you see the fruit over the years of that's exceptionally gratifying, because most people don't see a lot of people won't see, and even our work, we won't see the fruit of our labor until eternity.
I think about teachers. I think about my kids' elementary school teachers And I tell you, I was just thinking of her recently because one of our young people at this church now has her as a teacher. Her name's Miss Stenbach, and she's at Thomas Jefferson Elementary. She was so good to my son. She was so wonderful to include me. And so I imagine, a second grade teacher investing in these kids and not seeing the fruit of your work until much, much later, but seeing the young people, young adults that they become, there's a payoff. Yeah. Sometimes we gotta be patient. Yeah. And I want to acknowledge right now, friends, as we talk about ministry, these concepts are not for pastors.
Yeah.
This is for everybody. And I would expect any follower of Jesus to seek out a mentor, no matter what their work is or how old they are or where they live. I remember my first job out of college. I was in substance abuse counseling, and my mentor was an incredible man named Carlton. And he didn't have a discernible faith in Jesus really at all, but God used him to bless me. He was good to me. He looked out for me. He protected me, kind of brought me under his wing. He teased me and helped me to grow up, and he kind of helped take the blinders off. I was very naive. I was very idealistic as a young person, and especially being a social work major. I'm like, I'm going to save the world, one kid at a time. And he was like, Brad, you can't save the whole world. Just do the best at your job here, and let's see what difference we can make. But I am convinced 100% the Lord used Carlton to bless me, to encourage me, to teach me, to keep me out of trouble. There were some times when I was ready to quit. It was a hard job. And he would take me for a walk, and he would, he tried to get me hooked on coffee and cigarettes. Which
is that right? That's funny.
In the recovery community, coffee and cigarettes are a big deal. And anybody listening who's ever been to an AA meeting knows, like, they drink a lot of coffee, they smoke a lot of cigarettes. So I did take up the coffee. I did not accept the offer of the cigarettes.
That's good. That's probably best. Yeah.
That's good or bad for you. But anyway, he would tease. He would tease and say, "Oh, we're going to corrupt you. You're so green. You're funny. So naive." And I was 22, fresh out of college. I didn't know what I was doing.
Bro, yeah, exactly.
So I'm grateful to this day for his mentoring.
Yeah, I've had so many. I was even when you were talking about teachers. I remember a teacher. I went to Christian schools, but Mrs. Tainer. We lived in Pine Bluff, Arkansas, 7th grade. Isn't it amazing how you remember these things? Mrs. Tainer.
Tanner, you said?
Tainter. She was my 7th grade, I think, English teacher. And I remember there was a conversation happening in the room. And at the time, back in the 80s, the arcades were big deals. You know what I mean? Remember. Yeah. And she said something offhand that stuck with me and hit me like a ton of bricks. She's like, one of the reasons why I don't really like arcades. She said, well, how in the world could you hear the still small voice of God in an arcade?
Ooh.
And I remember as a 7th grader, I remember that conversation because I thought, God's trying to, like, it just was a way of saying it that I thought immediately, God's trying to talk to me.
Yeah.
Being quiet's an important part of that discipline of hearing God, and like God's actively trying to say something. For whatever reason, that just like, and I'm sure she has no idea, but that little thing, such a small little thing, but I remember where I was, the whole 9 yards.
Praise God for her. Man, yeah. What a gift.
Yeah, and of course, you could still hear God in an arcade, but the point is that insight was bigger than about the arcade.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the way she did it, too, was so much grace. Like, she didn't say, now, Jesse, don't be going to the arcade.
Right, exactly.
She still left the decision to you as to whether that was a good choice. But it was like, it was a sort of a challenge and an invitation to consider
what a lovely gift to say that to a 7th grade. In 7th grade, kid is not too young to hear God tell them something through your voice, right?
Surely.
Like, and I just remember that I'm so grateful for little things like that in my life. That no way she would know that's that we'd be talking about this. I'm 30 years later, but 35 or how many years later, decades later, anyway.
So long ago we can't remember.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying. So I'm very grateful. Even teachers have this beautiful, good, godly teacher can say something that's a
I'm thankful for a lot of my teachers today. Just remembering them Good. Well, let's change gears a little. Let's share
All
our
right.
recommendations. What recommendation do you have for folks?
I have one. This one is a 9 Marks book, which is a series on building healthy churches. 9 Marks is a ministry, and this one's on evangelism, and the subtitle is Now How the Whole Church Speaks of Jesus by Max Stiles. I read this little book several years ago, but just a really basic primer. How do I talk to my neighbors about Jesus? What's that look like?
Right on.
What's my responsibility
Right
in doing that? So it's a good thin book. It's a
Thin.
little
I see
coffee
it's
table
thin.
book. Yeah,
Wouldn't take too long to read it.
No, a couple days you could read it, knock it out. But yeah, I commend it to you. Or any book like this. These little coffee books. A lot of them are deep. I like 9 Marks as a ministry because they write good things. Yeah, good book.
Sweet. Right on. Okay, I also have a book to recommend. It's called Better Together. Making Church Mergers Work by Jim Tomberlin and Warren Bird. Granted, this is somewhat technical. Not everyone is going to want to run out and buy this book, but this is a book about what I was describing earlier about the idea of Timberlake taking on a second campus from a church that currently exists, but that needs some help and some guidance and some vision. And so what would it look like for Timberlake and another church to come together, one church, 2 locations? This is kind of a manual for how to do it well, how to discern the Lord's will in it, how to do it in a way that is building up of the kingdom of God. And I found this to be just excellent. We've actually had the staff read this.
Yeah, it's excellent.
And we've recommended this to our leaders. And it's excellent. Yeah, good book.
Very good.
Better Together.
Yep, very good book.
All right.
All right.
It's time for the top 5.
Brother, if people have made it this far,
Congratulations.
pat yourself on the back. Oh, really?
This is a short one so far, so we'll see how long the top 5 goes.
Okay.
We can
All
we can
right.
pad. We can vamp for a while.
Now, I'm going to say
Fill the
right
time.
off the bat that it's unlikely we're going to have to utilize the mechanism we had to use the last time of the
extra
draft.
picks because we take not likely we'd pick one another's,
Probably not.
but you never know.
Well, we'll see.
You never know. But we're
We
going to go 1 to
shall
5,
see.
draft style, top 5.
Who goes first?
Now, the top one again, the first one is the first thing I say. I think it's Pastor Brad this time.
Okay.
I might be wrong. But the first one is your top and then descending order.
Yeah, if you want. Yeah, I mean, yes, we're going to go 1 through 5 in whatever sense you want to make that. But yeah, I'm going to say what would be your number 1
Right, exactly.
favorite
And then so
other
forth and so
job
on.
besides pastor?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So you're first, my brother.
Am I going first? Okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
Sure. I'm ready. This is one it's a job I've always actually dreamed would be cool.
Oh.
Okay. And that is coach. I would love to be, now there's two versions. I'll give you both. Okay. Basketball coach.
Yep.
Top 6.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I love, so the idea of being a college or even a high school basketball coach, I think would be so fun. And what appeals to me about it is, of course, I love the sport of basketball, but I love the training of young people in using something like a sport to form them, shape them to be the kind of people God is calling them to be. I have coached my kids in sports. I coached my son in basketball and flag football and baseball and stuff like that. And I've always enjoyed investing in young people, and I love coaching. Now, alternatively, this is a bit more of a joke, but alternatively, I think it would be pretty neat to be a Major League Baseball first base coach.
Boy, that is very narrow.
Okay, now here's the reason. Here's the reason.
Do anything.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Right, take the
Did
base.
people hear that you say that? They don't do anything. Cord said
yes.
they don't do anything. That's all. That's exactly why. Okay, so here's your job, first base coach. You get to the ballpark, you put on the uniform,
Yeah.
you walk out there. It's a nice summer day, a summer evening.
Yep.
You're spitting some seeds. You're cheering on the batter. Come on, Bobby. Come
batter,
on,
batter,
Bobby.
batter.
Let's
Yep.
go.
Yep.
Give it a rip, Bobby. And then once Bobby gets a hit, comes down to first base. What do you do?
You tell them.
You pat him on the butt. Good job,
Yeah.
Bobby.
Yeah.
And then you hold his batting gloves for him while
Yeah.
he
Pretty
runs the
simple.
bases.
And all the other things they
Pretty
wear these
simple.
days.
I know,
They wear
all
like
the
different
different equipment.
equipment.
Now there are actually complex things that happen now, though. A couple of them.
Well, we're going to leave that to the third base coach.
Okay.
The first base coach, I'm not giving any signs, although I do, the baseball signs like.
Yeah. But you're communicating to the third base coach.
Yeah, no, I know there's that thing. But if you think about it, the third base coach is the one who has to tell them, keep going to home or stop.
They're waving you.
Whereas the first base coach, I mean, they can the player can see if they can make it to second or not. I don't really have to tell them anything. I'm just kind of just cheering them on, encourage her.
So
You do nothing, but you look great.
what a lovely.
I get to wear the uniform.
Top job.
What a lovely wish list.
In reality, I would hate the travel. Like go to a different city 3 times a week,
Yeah.
but in my fantasy, in my dream, that would be just so fun.
Let me just ask you: would you rather right now, if genie in a bottle, right? You could be a coach that's baseball coach or a basketball coach. Which would it be?
Oh, basketball.
A basketball all day.
Basketball.
You're right. Do you need agua?
There's
He needs agua.
Oh mercy. Lord is he's coughing up a lung.
Basketball, right?
Basketball.
I'd like to tell you a real quick story. I was a basketball coach. I coached Micah in Upward. Are you familiar with Upward? Mm-hmm. So I think it was like 5th grade, 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, that kind of age. Like old enough that you could really teach. But Upward is girls and boys.
Right. Go ahead.
So I was a coach, and it wasn't our church, but I took Mike, and it was another church that hosted it, and it was a competitive Upward little league, and famously, and I was good,
yeah, you were.
dude. Seriously, we had the and it was mostly coaching. I mean, honestly, I think so. Like I taught them how to box out, and I was really strict on them. Well, one day it was like finals, and I'm lit up. At least I'm getting angry. And at halftime, I'm like, "You guys need to box out," or I said something. And they got loud and animated. And one of the girls starts crying.
Oh, you made a player cry
during the halftime, and so I'm like, "Oh no, I'm in big trouble now." So afterwards, the parent came up, and I thought, "I'm going to get nailed." Mm-hmm. This wonderful family entrusted their daughter to me, and I'm screaming at the team to box out. Well, you box out, and anyway, he came up to me and said, "I heard my daughter started crying," and I said, "Yeah, I'm really sorry. I got animated, no doubt about it. Just trying to encourage them to box out." He's like, "I'm grateful. I'm grateful. They need to learn that life isn't easy. Tell them to box out." So I just wanted to congratulate you or whatever. So, yeah, true story.
Supportive dad.
True story. Yeah. I'm sure his wife though was like,
"Yeah, well, I had a dad like that once, and he was like, Coach, either you're going to yell at him or I'm going to yell at him."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Take it easy." But I yelled too, and mostly encouragement and instructions. I did yell at a family member one time because I had a rule on my teams that the parents and older siblings were not allowed to coach during the game. Well-meaning parents will say, "Okay, now dribble, now pass it to so and so." Right? I mean, how many people can a kid listen to at a time?
Just relax, yeah.
Right. I'm like, here's my agreement. You coach them all the hours of all the days, except when they're at practice with me or in a game, and then I'm coaching. And one time I had a player. He was a good player, and he had the ball on the perimeter, and he needed to drive toward the hoop. He was too far out. They were young. They couldn't chuck the ball that far. And a big sister yelled, "Shoot it!" And I turned around and I pointed straight at her. I said, "Don't tell him to shoot it." I was so mad.
Oh, did she straighten up right away?
She didn't say it again.
All right.
She didn't say it again. But I had a plan, right? That we were working the plan.
Not dealing with any of these shenanigans.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Parents.
Well, good
Parents
for
can
you.
be the best or maybe the worst.
Good for you. Oh, yeah, I think you'd be a good
Sounds like
coach.
you've been a coach.
Yeah, I was going to say.
But
as a career, though.
You're right.
I think he'd be a good coach. He would be a good coach.
All right, let's hear your number one.
All right, number one. No surprise. I know Cord's not going to agree, but I'd be a chef right now.
A chef, but you wouldn't eat your own food, right? Unless you were.
No, I'd
close
eat
to
my
home.
own food. I love my food. I'd be a chef.
No, I could see that, man. I know you taught me how to make homemade pizza crust.
Yeah. I love cooking. I love eating. I love all sorts of foods. Now, as a caveat, and these gentlemen have learned this, I'm very careful about what I eat when I'm away from home,
But otherwise, you have a very diverse palate.
Yeah, if I'm like around here, I'll eat anything in the city. And
The
then,
most diverse out of all of us, probably.
Well, I mean,
I wouldn't say
Lynchburg is actually the mecca of,
No, it's not.
of like
It's not.
food styles.
It's not.
We've got Mexican and
Yeah.
I don't know, Chinese.
And then more
there's not much to there aren't many offerings.
No.
But in Greensboro, when we lived in Greensboro, there's a lot of good
Oh,
food.
I bet, yeah.
And it's a much bigger city.
Yeah, yeah.
And then also even in Ohio, though we were pretty close to Columbus, to Detroit.
What's your favorite thing to cook?
Well, the things that I've wanted to do very well, if I've had challenges, like before I die, I want to be able to do that very well. I want to, and because they're difficult, pizza, biscuits.
Ooh.
Like if you make a good biscuit, you're doing pretty good.
My sister-in-law has a money biscuit recipe.
Yep. Yeah, but biscuits are also a little bit about technique. You can't overwork it.
Right. You got to fold in the butter, cold,
right,
that kind of stuff. Yeah.
right. So those two things I think have been labors of. For 20 years, I've tried to make good those things, and I know it's pretty basic because it's just dough, but that's the hardest thing, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think sometimes the most basic fundamental things in cooking are the hardest to get right.
Right.
And to do it well.
But I like to cook. I like to make cakes. So Chloe's picked up on that. She loves baking.
Nice.
But there's not a birthday in our house that's not a homemade cake. That doesn't happen.
And you're the one that makes it.
Kelly knows that that's my. Well, they'll make mine,
Oh, okay.
but we don't accept box cakes in the Carroll household. That's not happening.
Timberlake family, please make a note. If you're going to bring Pastor Jesse a cake, it better be homemade.
No, I mean, you bring me whatever you like, and I'll eat it with gratitude.
Oh,
but
okay.
at our
You
house,
won't throw it straight away once
for
the
a
people leave.
birthday, we're gonna make you.
No,
a
I'm with
homemade
you.
cake.
I feel that way about certain things, like with coffee. I'm a coffee snob.
Yeah.
Don't give me that cheap stuff. Let me have
Thank
something
you.
really good.
Thank you.
Yeah, well done. That's
You
great.
know, out of college, I mean, before I went to college, I applied to chef school because I didn't know what I was going to do. So,
what school was it?
one in New York where my aunt used to live
Was
in
it
Manhattan.
Johnson or Wales? Was it?
I don't remember, but I love cooking, and right now, if this weren't a career, right now, if something happened that became clear, the Lord no longer wants me to do this, I'd start a biscuit truck.
Okay. Hey, man, sign me up. I'll be your first customer.
You know, that's pretty unique, man. A biscuit truck. Yeah. You could make breakfast, which most food trucks aren't breakfast things, and then you could still do chicken biscuits and stuff like that
You
for
do
lunch
too, yeah. That's a great idea.
You could do dessert biscuits like strawberry, whatever. I think
Pastor
it'd be
Jesse's biscuit truck. PJ.
That's
PJ
that's
biscuits.
sort of my dream.
Yeah. Maybe you could do that in your retirement.
I would, and then I'd preach the gospel from the truck.
There you go. Hey, every place. Every place.
That's what I'd
right
do.
on. Great.
All right, that's
Okay.
my one.
My number 2. This is not really a reach.
Yeah.
Seminary professor. I love to teach. I'm very interested in church revitalization. It's pretty clear to me that most of the people who might be interested in seminary, in church revitalization would be like seminary type students. So that has been long-term desire of mine to teach and have a room full of people who really want to learn about those things. I like the world of academia appeals to me in the sense of reading and writing and having deep, thoughtful, intellectual conversations.
And all those students are there to learn what you have to say, so it's an engaged.
Yeah, there was a definite shift for me between undergraduate school and graduate school. Undergrad, I was just kind of phoning it in. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. But in grad school, it was clear to me, okay, like I'm married. This is not just any longer just me. This is about also my wife. She's working to pay for me to go to school here.
Yeah.
This is not just a job, it's my calling. The Lord has called me here. So it was a completely different experience and really enriching to be in seminary and to make lifelong friends and to have those conversations both inside and outside the classroom. So anyway.
If I had thought about it, that probably would have made my top 5 because I was just trying to thinking through what would I do.
Well, now it can't be because I picked it.
Right, it's now not. It's now not. But that's a good one. That's a good one. I think anybody that is I would be surprised if that's not on most pastors' top because there's a fine line between preach. There's a similarity between preaching and teaching,
Yeah, I agree.
and trying to have someone catch a vision and a passion for something is in part what I had great professors. But that's a good one.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. What's
Mine
your number
being
two?
artist number 2.
Artist. Yeah, you told us the other time. I think about you.
Yeah,
do
I would
painting?
definitely do something artistic. Now, I did go to art school for a year, and I was in graphic design. So graphic design was a year of my education. It was a Montevallo University, but their program was Auburn's, if you can believe. It was Auburn's. It was Auburn's art
which shall not
program.
be
It was their art program. So I would probably go back and do that. Although anymore, I think it's becoming a harder industry because of AI, especially. But
Oh yeah, I think even before that, it's a hard way to make a living as an artist.
it's certainly not an easy job. But I would enjoy it.
I bet you would. There's a guy from Timberlake named Mark Johnson. He is a painter and artist who does fine art here in Lynchburg. Wonderful artist. And so, friends, if you're listening, go check out Mark Johnson's art. But well, that would be cool. So let me point out right now that I think there's some connections between the work of a chef and the work of an artist.
Probably, yeah. I mean, I think maybe similar personalities. It's creative.
Yeah, creating something for other people's enjoyment, adding beauty into the world.
Yeah. Those are my top 2. And they happen to be my favorite hobbies, right? So obviously,
go.
if you had to do
Right.
something,
Yeah, I feel 2 ways about that. I do think sometimes I would enjoy making a life out of one of my hobbies, and then in other ways it might make it miserable. It's no longer a hobby. It's no longer for the enjoyment. You know
That's
what I mean?
true.
Now it's
you
work.
got to make a living. On
Yeah.
it.
I mean, I would imagine that painting for enjoyment's sake might feel different than like meeting a deadline and saying, "Well, I've got to churn out X number of paintings in order to feed my kids."
Yeah.
Okay, and that's related to my third because my third is sailboat captain.
Oh, my soul, you have an interesting list,
Sailing.
dude.
I love sailing. I love being on the water. I've never been employed with any kind of thing like that. Wow. But I would love to get on a big old sailboat, like a 40, 45-foot blue water cruiser, and take people like from the Keys to, the Bahamas or something, one of those.
Well, I tell you,
crossings.
you win the most interesting list already. This is crazy.
All right.
What?
People don't
That's
don't have
like,
to
why in
email
the
us.
world would you want to do that? And it's just like interesting.
Dude,
I think it's an
love-
insight into you that you would want to do that.
Well, it's funny. I could have picked all 5 of yours and said, "Oh yeah, that's who they'd want to be."
Okay.
Me?
Like all 3 of yours.
So far,
and
so far.
2 of yours.
Okay, right.
Well,
So
all right, I
far.
want to hear. I want to hear if you can pick out my last 2.
No,
then.
I'm not
Come
going
on,
to do that. No,
come
it's not-
on.
That's not how it works.
You just
Yeah,
you got
the other way.
got the
At
inside. Let
the
me hear you.
end, tell us. At the end, tell us. Just
Yeah, right.
Okay, okay.
Well,
Like, oh yes, that is what I would have said.
But you have to be honest.
never
You have to be
lie like
honest. You would have guessed those 2 of
No,
mine.
easally.
Right.
I don't. I
would've-
would
I
have
would've
guessed
laughed about
artist, but I would
chef.
have guessed chef. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's extremely interesting. I don't like the water that much, honestly. I love the beach, but I like
Yeah.
being in the sand, swimming in the beach, come back.
The land part of the beach. Not
Yeah,
the water
I'm not
part.
sure I would. Although, owing to the Lancasters, I've been at the lake a few times,
Yeah.
and I think I would buy a boat.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, I really have enjoyed that time with them. So
There's another country song called "Buy Me a Boat." Who sings that? It's Chris somebody, I think. Chris Jansen. "Buy Me a Boat." You know this song?
no,
I ain't rich, but I darn sure want to be. Working like a dog all day ain't working for me. I wish I had a rich uncle that had kicked the bucket. I was sitting on a pile like Warren Buffett. I know everybody says money can't buy happiness, but it could buy me a boat. It could buy me a truck to pull it. It could buy me a Yeti 110 iced down with some silver bullets. I know what they say. Money can't buy everything. Maybe so, but it could buy me a boat. That is actually a really good song, and it's funny and clever.
yeah, very clever,
I won't
very clever.
insult people by trying
All
to
right,
sing
well, good
it.
for you.
right.
A boat captain. I wouldn't have
Yeah.
guessed that in any way.
Any boat, but probably sailboat being my number one.
Yeah.
preference.
Would you be a cruise boat captain? Or we're in a different
Like a
universe?
cruise ship?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, that's hard for me to even imagine, like the
Huge,
level
big.
of responsibility and like these. You know, those guys go to school. They go to like maritime education, like college,
Okay.
and then you get out and you start as like a junior officer and you work your way up.
Like a plane, almost like learning how to fly a plane.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, those are machines. Those are computer
they're
technology.
like, floating
Yeah.
cities.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
All right.
All right, it's your time for
Okay.
your third one.
This in no way, just because I want to be like Jesus, I would be a carpenter.
Oh, hey, wow, that's such a good Sunday school answer.
Now, I don't have any tools, neither would I ever want to buy a tool. So I don't know that I would actually like it. This is kind of one of those dream things, but I do love watching YouTube. Like there are a couple artists that essentially it's an art form, but how they make a table or just
Yeah.
the beauty of like the epoxy stuff. Dude, it is artwork.
It is art.
It's functional
So
art.
again, let me just point out the obvious, that is your first three are so much related.
Yeah,
A
that
carpenter and a painter.
man
Go together.
It is some of that stuff, and it's expensive. You could actually make a good living doing that if you become
Especially if you're
popular
good
on
at it.
YouTube. Yeah. So YouTube video. What?
I said,
Hopefully that's
especially if
what
you're good at
anything-
it.
Yeah. You'd have to be good at
Well,
it.
no, I get my point in saying that is I can do carpentry of the very rough style. Like
Right.
I replaced the decking on my deck. I ripped up the old, 2x6 planks and I laid down Trex.
Okay.
But I wouldn't, it's not exactly pro. And I can't do finish work, what I mean, like trim and
Right.
making the joints all come together and look good. I can't do any of that.
Right. Well, and I can't either. I'm not saying I can't. I've never tried it. I'm just saying it's a world that if I had the tools, I could see myself enjoying it. But if it's a hobby, it's an expensive one.
It is.
Because
it's a high barrier to entry in terms of
right.
the tools.
And for that reason, I've never done it, but I think it's extremely interesting profession.
At my last church,
creatives.
there's a guy named Tom, Big Tom. He was sort of a carpenter by hobby,
Mm-hmm.
and he was I think he was a farmer by trade, but he had his own wood shop, and he took me in there, and it was amazing. He had actually not only purchased and installed all these tools, but he built a vacuum system that he would attach to each like saw, so that when he ran the saw, it would automatically suck up the sawdust. I mean, there was no sawdust anywhere
Right.
because he had the system. He was hired by a friend and neighbor to build a casket for the neighbor and said, hey, rather than me going through the corporate and say, I'm not going to die tomorrow, but one day, he said, would you build me a casket? And Tom's like, sure. So he built it for him. Guy comes over and he's like, how much? Tom tells him. The guy goes, that's too much. I can't pay that. So Tom goes to me, Pastor, I built myself a casket, so I guess I'll use it for myself.
Oh, you mean he didn't figure all that out beforehand? No. I'm sure it's not cheap to make a casket.
I mean, it was a nice looking casket. It was beautiful. He did such a nice job.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, I'm assuming it probably would be expensive. I mean, wood is expensive these days.
Right.
Thanks to
Especially the
pandemic.
tables. I follow a couple guys on YouTube. Most of my TV is YouTube, but different channels. And a couple of these guys, they buy the big pieces of slab wood. Whatever, they plane it, and then they fill it with epoxy or whatever. Dude, I'm telling you, $20,000 or whatever. I bet the wood is $5,000-$6,000 just for a piece of live wood like that.
I would totally mess that up and be like, oh, just ruined a 6,000 piece.
But man, I just look up to that, and I'm like, that's
admirable.
awesome.
That is cool.
That is awesome.
I've been grateful to have a few tradesmen in my life. I worked for a tile guy for a while, and my brother is really handy. He's taught me a ton of things, and so I enjoy those things too. But yeah, I don't have the skill.
Yep.
All right, number 4.
Go with it.
Number 4, Cord. Come on, make a guess.
I forgot about this, so no, go ahead.
All right.
All right.
This is not a reach. Therapist. You could have guessed that.
You would have guessed
I
that?
went into social work. I'm not.
Yeah.
I went into like that.
That's
idea.
right.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay, so you're in the ballpark.
I have a master's degree in social work and adult mental health, and I've worked in therapeutic settings like a prison mental health unit. And I thought before I was a pastor, I thought I would be a therapist, and I've done drug abuse counseling. So that's not really a reach. And as you've pointed out, a lot of pastors, that's as with teaching, pastoring, and giving counsel are very much overlapping. And
there's no doubt about it. And I mean this with sincerity of heart. You are a very, you are insightful, wise person. And I think hopefully a lot of ministers are. But that's helpful if you're a therapist. To be able to see, really what's going on here is.
Yeah.
And we're really dealing with the superficial thing, but the deep thing is this.
Yeah, I enjoy that part of therapy, of the puzzle of human beings and human behavior, and trying to discover what's really going on. Because people come into your office and they tell you, "Oh, pastor, this such and such is happening," and I'm listening for what they're not saying, but what's going on underneath.
Well, I'd say Cord might say this. Many people don't have the behind the scenes of benefit of seeing you in a meeting, but you are, and I've told Kelly, I've learned a lot to watch Pastor Brad, just hold on, let's do, this is the thing, and just kind of distill it to the actual thing. And does that make sense?
Oh, for sure. I hear what you're saying.
All right.
Yeah.
10% bonus for in your paycheck next month.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, it's really. I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot. Yeah, I've learned because actually my review's next month. So. No, I'm just teasing.
That's hilarious.
I'm just teasing.
That's
so,
all right.
Yeah, you'd be good at it.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. What number are we?
Number
on?
4.
This one, I almost certainly you wouldn't have guessed, but I've always wanted to be in the vein of you can't handle the truth. I'd want to be a lawyer.
Oh. Because of the movie.
Did not have that one.
I think I'd be a good lawyer. I think, and I mean like a trial lawyer where where the persuasiveness of speech.
Yeah, you'd be good at that.
Yeah,
The trial part in particular.
Yeah, I think I would be good at it. I've seen a lot of some of these very popular lawyers, and it's televised, any of the big cases over the last 10 years, and you're like, how's that guy popular? He's not that good at speaking. You know what I mean? He's not. And I know that there's a lot behind the scenes, but the extent to which you're trying to convince a jury.
Yeah.
There's a rhetorical gift there that's
absolutely.
needed for that.
I think a number of, you pointed to, movies and, for that matter, TV shows have been based on that very.
A Few Good Men.
There it is.
Well,
Few
this is
Good
one of
Men.
the top films.
It is good.
Well, I don't want to jump ahead because that might be a top 5 later, but that's definitely in the world of.
I'm going to pick it ahead of you so you can't have it.
Of top 5.
No, that is a great movie.
And there's a lot of rhetorical, even in that movie, if you analyzed what he does at the end, how he puts the guy, whatever his name, the actor,
Colonel Jessup,
into a box. So he uses rhetoric to kind of get there.
My only beef is I've got to suspend my disbelief to enjoy that movie because of all the Marines I've ever known, not a single one of them would have allowed themselves to get trapped by pretty boy lawyer Tom Cruise in that way. And
I thought you were going to say they wouldn't have done what that Marine did.
Oh no,
that's true too.
Done that,
okay, but you're saying they're smarter than that, particularly this guy who's a 5-star.
and smarter, but I think more calculating, more disciplined.
They're not going to lose their cool.
No.
You can't handle it.
They're not. Yeah, that's Hollywood. No,
Right.
It's entertaining.
It's good.
I've been very entertained by it. When that scene comes on, I'm like, oh, this is great.
Right.
But when I think about it realistically, I'm like, it doesn't make the Marines look particularly.
But
good.
he was clever in putting him in a rhetorical box there at the end. There's a couple things that he does that's
it was great.
gotcha.
It was great.
Yeah. All right. Lawyer.
Do you watch Lincoln Lawyer on Netflix?
No. Should I?
It's great.
Okay.
Yeah, it's light watching. It's not very in depth, but it's very. Oh, that was a little tricky.
Little trial scenes, right?
Yeah, that's good.
All right. That's
All right,
my
number 5.
4.
Number 5. Here we go. Stay-at-home dad.
Lord Jesus, that wouldn't even be on my top 20. Sounds like a disaster.
Oh my God.
That's hilarious. Now, here's the caveat.
All right.
When my kids were young and my sweet wife would go to work or do whatever she had to do, and I spent the entire day with my kids, I was exhausted. There is a kind of tired that comes with raising young children that is unlike any other tired I've ever experienced. So realistically, I don't think I could have done it. But for me, my role as dad is, besides my role as disciple and husband, that is the most important thing about me.
Yeah, good for you.
And I love my kids endlessly. I love being with them. I have tried in my life to embrace and grow in my role as dad, invest in that, and be good at it. I spent a lot of time thinking about how to be a good dad, and not just for my kids now, but for their future and what I want my relationship with them to be like. And so, in that way, it appeals to me.
You're making me sad. That's a good one. But it is one of the things. I don't want to get Debbie Downer here, but I don't ever think that I've been a good dad. And I think the enemy. I know. Like in my brain, I know I probably have been, but the enemy kind of nails me on that one.
Yeah, I know.
So,
well, we're vulnerable.
if I
there,
could do a
aren't we?
redo, I would. That's one of those redos. Yeah, I'd be a better dad.
There's some things I would redo. Certainly.
Yeah.
Well,
good for you.
I've gotten to know your youngest quite well, and sometimes behind your back we call you Father Jesse.
Okay, that's cool.
And I think she thinks a lot of you.
I love. Yeah. She's. I know that Kelly always tells me you've been a good dad, But you know how the enemy just likes to pick at that one thing, and that's the one for me.
Special place and a vulnerable place to be picked on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
right
you have been definitely a good dad, and I'm embarrassed that I laughed about it.
No. Don't be embarrassed. Don't be embarrassed. I'm still a work in progress. I did something nice for my 16-year-old son yesterday, and I was like, "Thank you, Dad," and I was like coaching him on what to say, and he said back, sort of mocking, "Thank you, Dad."
He is a good kid.
Yeah, I've got two amazing kids. I do.
Yeah.
I'm blessed beyond imagination.
Yes, indeed.
All right, number 5. Pastor
All right,
Jesse,
this
number
one,
5.
1,000,000% you would not think, but
Astronaut.
no, but ooh.
What's your guess?
Policeman.
No, never.
Firefighter.
Never.
Soccer player.
Ophthalmologist.
Ophthalmologist.
Yeah, an
Interesting.
ophthalmologist.
You're right. I never would have guessed that.
I find the eye extremely interesting as a thing. Kelly's had eye problems, so we've been to a lot of ophthalmologists and optometrists, but then there's the ophthalmologist.
Cool. Explain the difference. I don't really know.
So the optometrist, I think, is just 4 years of schooling, so they can tell you need glasses, but they ain't putting anything in your eyeball, that's for sure. Apart from a drop or something like that, they're not scraping your cornea.
Oh, gosh, that sounds terrible.
Yeah, but an ophthalmologist will do a corneal scrape, or they could do surgeries. And then there, of course, the next level would be an eye surgeon, which would require. But I think it would be a good career to be an ophthalmologist. It would be. And of course, we know dentists is in the same universe. You're not going to. It's good hours. Like you're not working at night.
There you go.
You're mostly Fridays. You're off. Most
You
of
don't
these.
carry it home.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're dealing with, it's the medical field that if you're dealing with, you're not going to have to deal with the very sad thing of, oh man, that person may have cancer or something. Then you have to deal with the emotional thing. You're sending that off to a specialist.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's very
sense.
low emotional.
Yeah, that's a good argument.
Doctoral connection. So I think I would have done that. I've known some ophthalmologists in my life, and then again, we've been around ophthalmology a lot. So that's what I would do.
That's good.
That is very, very interesting and insightful. And I would have not guessed that in a million years.
What are some backups? We didn't need to use them.
I'll put down farmer. Farmer. I probably would file that under like sailboat captains, like a fantasy.
Right.
When the reality sets in, like you're in the boat in the middle of a storm, you're like, I hate this, or like in farming, when you're in the dead of summer and it's 105 degrees out and you're out there like shoveling, what.
Captain Dan.
So, what's funny? When we texted about this yesterday, and the idea was, fantasy jobs, whatever. My mind immediately went to like, oh, that would be so cool to do. Like outlandish, something that doesn't even align with who I am. All right?
Oh, okay, interesting.
So all of yours were like, well, this is what I already do in some way, so I would like to be paid for it.
Yeah, until ophthalmology. Until ophthalmology.
Except for ophthalmology.
Yes,
sorry.
I do require a paycheck for no matter what I do because my kids
By
want to eat.
the way, what is your what
so
are
I'll
a
give
couple of
you two.
yours?
Yeah, let's hear top two from Cord.
Believe it or
producer.
not, one of y'all already said, actually, a stay-at-home dad.
In the world?
And so I slightly did that with Leitner, but I was working from home doing graphic design.
Yep.
Interesting. And so I love playing with my kids. That's fun. But this is one that came to my mind because someone else said they could see me doing this.
Opera singer.
Opera singer? No, not an opera singer. A cruise ship, party
Host.
captain.
Yeah, host.
Yeah.
A host of
Like
a cruise
entertainment
ship,
director, yeah.
entertainment
What a
director.
great job,
Yeah, you'd be
right?
good at
Wouldn't that
that.
be fun?
Yeah.
Fun for you.
Yeah.
I would hate that.
You'd
You'd be good at it though.
I think
Yeah.
I'd be good at it. Yeah.
Yeah, you could
Disney-
be on,
you know, like
and
Disney-
people, and you're good with a sense of what pleases them. And
Yeah. And
what were we gonna say about
Yeah,
Disney?
no, I was going to say on Disney Plus, you can see some documentaries. Anytime they come out with a new ship, they'll do like a 30-minute documentary of how it was built, and they'll interview people, and they'll follow the ship before it launches.
Yeah.
And they've got a couple of them out there, documentaries, and almost always the host is part of that documentary. It's like, what a great job.
We'll
They
see. You
they're
never
well
know.
paid too. I think.
Are they
Oh,
really?
I think they're really well.
Well, think
paid.
about it. You have to live away from your. I mean, you have to live on the ship.
Right.
But what
for-
is that
Yeah,
a
however many
problem?
months.
Well, with a wife and kids, yeah.
Oh yeah,
and, like,
maybe
Well,
that.
the more
But I'm
reason.
saying,
what I've got going on here, kind of, yeah.
yeah, but I mean, if it was your career, probably you're not.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You may not be
Or maybe-
married.
See, none of the things y'all said were hypothetical. Like we're like separate from who you are as people.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, ophthalmology.
Well, maybe your wife is head of the dining services on the same ship.
She's
Oh, that's true. You could do that. Yeah.
She could probably run the whole thing.
Guest services.
Yeah.
That actually, I've never been on a cruise, so I don't think I would enjoy it. But I think it's good money, and it would be mostly a fun job.
Yeah, it's
I think it
not-
would mostly be fun.
Those are my two.
Right on, man. I dig it.
So you had farmers a backup, and then
Yeah.
did you say your other one?
I don't think I had another
Okay,
backup.
so I thought dentist, same thing, same universe as ophthalmologist. And then I'm surprised you didn't say this, but again, same thing, politician. What I think I would have been decently
I think you'd
good,
be good
at
it.
a sort
I
of
think
a
you would be good at it. Yeah.
state at a state level.
There
I would have
is.
met a lot of people.
This is a true story. There is a United Methodist pastor, I think of the largest United Methodist church in the United States. His name's Adam Hamilton. Just recently, he has declared he is running for Senate in Kansas.
Yeah, we need more godly people. in
I
that.
agree.
I mean,
I've seen a lot of hate, toward him or criticisms or how dare you, soil the gospel. I'm
relax,
like,
dude.
You don't think we need the gospel in Washington? Of course.
have you read the prophets? I mean, the prophets were right up in the king's business.
Exactly. Yeah. Amen. Amen. So I don't agree with all of his politics, but I honor the call of godly people to go serve our country. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right on.
Right.
All right.
That was we escaped this podcast unscathed.
Unscathed. This has been a Timberlake joint. Our producer is Cord Doss. Our engineer is Irish Furbush. Set design by Allie Blanks with help from John Shepard. Lighting and graphic design by Cody Flynn. Our theme music is the original composition and performance of Timberlake's very own Patrick Ragland. Shout out Patrick. Check out his music on Apple Music or Spotify. For more from our ministry, check us out on YouTube or Facebook or on our website, timberlakechurch.org.
Amen to
Amen.
that.
Thanks, friends, for joining us. We love you. We'll see you soon.
Yep. God bless.
I'll never